I made an appointment and I called Pam Coronado of Sensing Murder. And I always thought she was terrific. She explained how her psychic thing worked, because I was very curious. I mean, I was having these psychic experiences, and I thought this is, even though I had read tons of books about it after I had my initial seeing of the future, the precognition event, which of course is impossible, but nevertheless true. And I mean, it's like, at that point, it was like, I don't care if I convince anyone else of this. I have to figure this out. This happened to me. I can't go through life having something that happened to me that destroys my whole entire theory of the world. So, at any rate, so calling Pam was the smart thing to do. I was far, what I'm saying is it was not, I no longer regarded people with psychic powers as just a parlor trick. And I wasn't trying to catch her up. I knew, I'd had too many experiences by then. I knew that people were doing something. I mean, if it happened to me and I wasn't even trying, these things were just bombarding me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really, what's going on here? It's like some part of my brain was opened up to a different reality, and I mean, I really have to say that's why I'm in this mask, because there is another world, and it happens sometimes, and it's different from this world. It's different altogether, and we do make the transition with the horses, with their little cockades like I'm wearing here, and we go on to something else. But at any rate, I called Pam. So I had no idea that Tom had any problem at all, and that, I just felt very sad for him. And I had started writing a blog, which a lot of people were reading, about the life of an actor and the things he'd gone through. And I my basic understanding of why he had never gotten anywhere and been so unhappy was that he didn't work as much as he wanted to. This is what he told me. It didn't really suffice as an explanation, because I couldn't understand why. So you didn't become a big star. So what? What was the big problem? But at any rate, he was always very depressed. And there it was. But I had this, I wasn't thinking of Tom at all or anything like that. I was thinking of some financial things, and I was very worried if I was going to survive. So that's why I called. I had I was not calling about writing or Tom or anything. But what's interesting is both those subjects came up in a very interesting way at the time. And I'll give you a little background on the tape. We'd been talking about the financial stuff, and suddenly she said, I said, well, I was writing, blah, blah. You're trying to chat while she's doing her, letting things come into her mind. The universe speaks in symbols. She's trying to interpret these things. And she says to me, you keep writing. You should be writing. And she said to me, you're going to write a book that comes out of the blue. That's a big hit. She said, I don't want to get your hopes up. She said, I don't do this very often. But it's going to be come out of the blue like 50 Shades of Grey, which was a popular book at that time, although, as I subsequently found out when I called her back several years later, as the truth of Tom had been revealed, she hadn't read the book either. Neither of us had read the book. So I will play that tape for you and put it, with captions, because it wasn't really, I didn't record, I just recorded it for my own, for myself, on a little stupid little digital thing, and I put it on a regular tape here, so the quality of the sound isn't great. But the two questions are, why would she say 50 Shades of Grey, a book about sort of semi-pornographic book about sexual misbehavior? I mean, I checked, there were many other books. The American Sniper at that time was very popular. Unbroken was a big bestseller. Gone Girl, The Girl on the Train. I mean, there was any number of books she could have mentioned, but she didn't. She said 50 Shades of Grey, and it was only. And at the time, I thought to myself, oh well, she's talking about ebooks. That must be why that was started as an ebook. It was a new phenomenon that people had an ebook, and they took off. So I thought, well, that's why she mentioned that I should write an ebook, and I knew nothing about ebooks. So I eventually, and more proof, I did finish writing the book. I told her that I was in the process of turning all my blog posts into a book about Tom, but I was afraid it was a little sad. His life was very sad, even the part of it. I didn't even actually know the half of it at that time. So I did write the book, and I called it "Don't Quit Your Day Job." You can see it; it's still there. The date it's published is there. It's the Tom that I knew, not the Tom that really was, or the other Tom, that who, when he walked out the door, became a different person altogether. Tom, it was the stories that I knew from our life and the explanations that he'd given me. So there is that proof. And at the end, I will play the little short clip of her saying 50 Shades of Grey. And then you will hear, after that we get to the part where she's saying, she's trying to get through to me about this book. She said, "What's it about?" And I said, "Well, it's kind of sad, because I had another book I was writing called Arrows or something, some silly book." But she said, "Is it a true story?" And I did have a book that, the blog that I was writing that was a true story that I'd sort of turned into semi-fiction. She said, "It's a true story." And then she suddenly burst out. She said, "It's about him." Meaning it's about Tom. It's a true story about Tom. And, of course we went on, and basically I was still worried. When you're a widow and you have a son, you're worried about your financial security. So that was the main thrust of the whole conversation. And it was only, I was thrilled to hear that I was going to have a book that was a big hit, and that she did what still hasn't happened, but I'm trying. I realized that timing is everything in this, and maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But I didn't. Of course, it wasn't until he revealed to me in a dream that of how he'd been chasing other women all his life, essentially, and which was totally destroyed. I was destroyed. It was just took me months and to get over it, and it was a terrible thing to find out. And yet, when I look back, Pam's this about 50 Shades of Grey, and then the book about him, and it being sad. They get through to you. It's hard. It's not. They can't give you the formula for the drug that will cure cancer from the other side, or I'm sure they would, but it just doesn't work like that. So I suddenly, and then I realized there were a lot of other incidents, not the least of which was the best woman at my wedding telling me Tom had made inappropriate advances, which you can read about in the book. I didn't believe her. She was about 40, never been married. Everybody gets all crazy over TV stars. I thought, oh well, she's just a little silly or something. I was really wrong. I was stupid, naive. I didn't really think, and of course he denied it. But at any rate, these are the proofs that I have. The dreams that I've written down, the times, the dates, the book, Don't Quit Your Day Job, which is the first interpretation, and then there's Bedeviled, as I look back and thought, oh, wait a minute. Now I get it. So many things that didn't make sense. And the tapes from Pam. And I have another tape, too, where we go over who the other woman might be, and some of, just one of them, because there were quite a few, actually. So, but that's less interesting. There's nothing to do about. She has her own problems, I'm sure. I wish her well. So, or I don't wish her well. I don't even know her, frankly. But this is the proof, and you will see. And there is death, and you will be in one of those hearses with the horses and the purple cockades bouncing up and down as you leave this carnival of life. Death in Venice. Think about it.
And now I'm retired, and I can go back to work if I have to, but I don't mind it. And I try to write. I'm trying to become a writer of fiction, and good. So that's my dream. Good. Okay. You want to say anything? Feels really good to me. Oh, good. How about if I say to you the blue flame? Is that your reason? Well, I don't know, but what I'm getting is that I think your husband's going to help you from the other side with just getting this book published. Really? the most saleable one. It's called Eros. It's about Greek myths and libido, and it's like modernized and sort of a very sexy book, but that's also somewhat intellectual, and I think it could really sell, you know, as opposed to some of the things I've written, which are really kind of, they're just not in the mainstream of the marketplace. You have to do something that gets attention in order to sell things. And, right. I really think that that's sort of where you're going and what is right for you. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, because sometimes I think, oh, I should just give up. I'm wasting my time. And no. No. And I don't want to give unrealistic expectations or anything like that, but I do feel like you could have a book that hits. Really hits. Huh. And I don't know if it's anything that you've already written or not, but it just feels, it kind of reminds me of, not that this is the same thing, but 50 Shades of Grey, you know,